Judgment Day is coming. Welcome to another episode of previews, numbers, and predictions. This week it's the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the LSU Tigers. So it should be a good game there in Tuscaloosa. We'll get into the numbers right away. First, let's take a look at the schedules. In my opinion, LSU has not had a signature win this year. Their loss against Florida, a questionable Florida State team, is ugly. Their loss against Ole Miss, the same, and that was an away game, by the way. Alabama, they haven't covered themselves in glory either this year, but they have played the tougher competition, as you'll see by the Power Index ranking. So could this be the signature win for the LSU Tigers? Well, if they could beat Alabama, it certainly will be. But they haven't shown a lot this year. Maybe Missouri, but Mizzou is even questionable this time of year. Passing, this is where LSU absolutely shines, at least on paper. The total offense ranking's number 1, and that is supported by their passing ranking at number 4 in the nation right now. Alabama's total offense is a lackluster 79th in the nation, and their passing ranking is just about right there at 78. LSU, in terms of third down efficiency, again, outstanding, but when you take a look at the schedule, you'll understand why. They're at 57%, and even their fourth down efficiency is okay at 40%. They tend to go for more fourth downs than Alabama, who's only gone for a couple all year. Passing attempts per game, LSU lets the ball fly 32 times a game, whereas Alabama's down at 23. The yards per game, again, outstanding for LSU. Alabama, kind of middle of the road, 220. The yards per completion, though, is where Alabama has a slight edge over LSU. And every time LSU hurls the ball, they can expect an average of 10.79 when you take the amount of passes they've thrown, the amount of yards they've gained. So that counts completions, incompletions, average of 10.79 yards per attempt. Interceptions. Again, LSU is outstanding. They've only thrown 3 picks despite that high-flying offense. Alabama, 5, but they were 5 critical ones. They could have had a signature win at the beginning of the year with Texas without 2 interceptions, without 2 touchdowns called back for penalties. But that's a story for another day, and that's Alabama football. Passing efficiency, 70% for LSU, which I think is a good, solid number. When you look at rushing, again, Alabama towards the bottom of the pack at 76th in the nation, whereas LSU is ranked 11. But keep in mind, it's 11 against teams like Grambling, who's 4-4, or a 2-6 Army, so it's pretty easy to pad your numbers there. Fumbles lost, both teams take care of the ball. Yards per attempt, LSU's is outstanding at 5.77 yards per attempt on rushing. They have running backs that can rush, and they have a quarterback that can rush, but then so does Alabama. Turning it over to defense is where Alabama sees a clear advantage, especially given the schedule they've played versus the schedule LSU has played. Alabama is nationally ranked 15th, whereas LSU is towards the bottom at 83rd in the nation in total defense. They give up nearly 400 yards a game. Alabama at almost 100 yards less at 306 yards a game. Alabama is nationally ranked 30th in pass, and that's going up against the number 4 pass offense, but that's a good matchup. Here's where LSU has an Achilles heel, though. They're ranked number 85 in the nation in passing, and Alabama is at 60% efficiency there. Pass yardage per game, Alabama's at 198 given up, whereas LSU gives up 239. Sacks 4. Alabama's 8th in the nation in sacks right now. They've sacked the quarterback 29 times, which could be good tidings given they're going up against a passing team. whereas LSU has only sacked the quarterback 14 times. They're towards the bottom of the national rankings in terms of sacks. In terms of run, they're 85th in the nation. As a run defense, Alabama's up there at 22. LSU giving up 157 yards, Alabama a miserly 108. And key here is that LSU allows 4.67 yards per attempt. So as Alabama's huge offensive line is maturing, will they be able to take advantage of LSU's lackluster pass defense? Points allowed per game, again, Alabama is a lot more miserly at 17 on the average. The opponents can expect to score, whereas LSU, even despite the schedule they played, allows 27 points per game. Special teams, I see no clear advantage for either team. Both have outstanding field goal kickers. Neither one of them tend to return the ball, and when they do, it doesn't go that far. Now, if you look at those power index rankings that I've already mentioned, Alabama is ranked number 3 in the nation in terms of the football power index, whereas LSU is at number 10. That's still a good ranking, but it's not number 3. And when you take a look at the scoring for those rankings, they tend to get further and further apart as you get below number 5 in the nation. The passes, touchdowns to interceptions, 13 for Alabama and 5 awful interceptions. LSU, though, outstanding number, 25 touchdowns with only 3 interceptions. It's going to be a home game for Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They're 5-1 at home with a loss to Texas, and LSU's away record is 2-1. So both of them are okay. National rank in penalties, these guys are outlaws on both teams, although Alabama only had 1 penalty in their last game, so maybe they're learning. Number 94 for Alabama, number 82 for LSU. And when you take a look at the yardage, there's not a lot of difference between the two. Penalties per game is exactly the same at 6. And we already know the overall records. 1 loss for Alabama, that was to Texas, nationally ranked still. LSU, though, they lost to Ole Miss and they lost to Florida State. Both of them average about 30 minutes of possession per game, so they split it down the middle with whatever opponent they're playing. And that's pretty amazing when you consider how many plays LSU gets off in a game. The rushing plays, the passing plays, they're a quick offense. So what are the key matchups by the numbers? Well, you got the number 1 total offense going against Alabama's number 15th ranked total defense. I don't see a clear winner there. I mean, yes, LSU scored a lot against Army and a lot against Grambling and a lot against some other lesser opponents. But when you take a look at the schedule, take a look at the scores, they don't score as frequently against teams that are even in their record or positive. LSU's pass offense against the number 30 Alabama pass defense. I think everybody's going to be healthy for this game for Alabama. I don't know of any injuries for LSU, but I still give the clear advantage there to LSU. Now we get down to the number 76 total offense versus the number 83 total defense. And just based on strength of schedule alone, that one goes to Alabama. I think they'll be able to run finally with those gargantuan offensive linemen leading the way. So I think it'll be a clear advantage to Alabama, as will be the home field advantage with the rockin' Bryant-Denny Stadium. LSU has lost an away game to a stadium that rocks, so we'll see how they do. And then I've already mentioned the schedule 7 times. Alabama's power ranking is much better than LSU's. If you just take a look at the schedule, I give the advantage to Alabama. What do I think the keys to victory are for each team? Average is a passing game in terms of defense and total points scored. If you can keep LSU to 17 points or below, Alabama has a good chance of winning this game. Alabama tends to be a second half team. For some reason, they don't make adjustments until the second half. but they generally blow, with the exception of Arkansas, blow teams away in the second half. They blew Arkansas away in the first half and held on in the second. So if Alabama can play both halves like they do normally the second half, then they have a good chance of taking this one. Alabama should not be afraid to pass. Yes, they've given up a lot of sacks, but LSU is ranked number 96 in the nation in terms of sacking the quarterback, the opposing quarterback, and Alabama has already beaten the current ranked number 1 team at Texas A&M, the number 4 team in sacks, Ole Miss. LSU lost to them, and the number 6 team. Sack Rome. Take that high-powered, fast defensive line and defensive backs on the blitz, linebackers, and go after the LSU quarterback. So what are the LSU's keys to victory? Don't trust anybody over 30. LSU has to hold Alabama to 30 points or less if they're going to have any chance at all in this game. CIA, Secret Agent Milroe. If there's not a spy, just wave goodbye, because he is going to run that ball past everybody in the field, which, by the way, LSU does have a good running quarterback too. Keep it Tesla, all electric. You don't want to get no gas in the second half, because that's where Alabama has left teams in the dust. They did it to Tennessee, outscoring them 27-0 last week. Tennessee had a much better defense than LSU's. Keep it electric, no gas. And then Bryant Stadium is going to be rocking. Absolutely. They're going to be noisy. They're going to be boisterous. Even when Alabama is down, the place is loud. But not as loud as they are when they're up. When they're up, it is a feeding frenzy in that place. So TD music to soothe those savage beasts. Get ahead early and maintain that lead, and you should have a good chance of winning the game. What do the pros say? Well, Alabama is a field goal advantage right now at the time of this video by Vegas odds, and you can see the over and under and the money line there. The matchup predictor, though, for ESPN is a little clearer Alabama, giving them a 62.5% chance of winning. So roughly 12,000, I think, of the 20,000 simulations, 12,500. They run computer simulations, and LSU gets 7,500, somewhere around there. They win in 7,500 of the simulations. That matchup predictor, I pretty much ignore that once the kickoff starts. So let's have a look at the weather. Weather could impact a game. It's not going to impact this game. It should be a cool November Saturday, just perfect weather for football, with relatively low humidity, cloud cover, spotty, clear visibility, and very little chance of rain. How do I think it's going to turn out? All right, maybe I should whisper, because there are a lot of LSU fans that come down here to vacation or that live around me. In fact, I bought my house from a big LSU fan. I think Bama's going to take this one. I think they will put together 2 halves. I think they have become more disciplined on the line, less holds, less penalties, less touchdowns being called back. I don't think LSU will be able to crack the line in terms of the run, and I think Alabama's pass defense, as if they're all healthy, is as good as any in the nation. But those are just my thoughts. If Alabama plays 2 halves like they're normally playing 1 half, then LSU has a highway wide open to take this game. Frankly, don't understand why they're ranked so high, except for the total offense number. That maybe pushes them up a little. But Alabama's going to take this game 34-17. LSU, like I said, they have a good chance of upsetting Alabama, and if they do, there will be that signature win. Thanks. I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Have a good Saturday of college football. Here's praying that all the boys on both teams get through it safely and with their health.